Right.
All right. Good evening, should I say early afternoon. I am here with my wonderful sister, uh, Iya. Say it. Bagde? Is it Bagde?
It's Iye Gbada Wali.
Iye Bagde Wale Fagbenro.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm Deborah of the Deborah Show. And this is really an urgent discussion. Besides my special guest being an educator, a motivator, a life coach, health coach, and I also call you a cultural creative because she works. That's exactly what she does. Is she works with galas, African attire, uh, purse. I mean, she just does it all. But she is an educator, and education is her passion. So I am going to welcome everyone who is joining in. I'm going to give you a reminder. Please leave your videos on mute. If you have other activities going on in your background, leave your microphones on mute. If you also have other activities going on in the background, if you have any questions, uh, please feel free to type them into the chat room. I'll check in, I'll read them, I'll ask them questions, statements. It won't matter. So we're going to go ahead and let Iya introduce her own self in her own way. And then we're going to get started with how educators maintain their passion for teaching during a educational paradigm shifts. And I called it that, Iya, because of our governor. You,
Oh, okay.
you know that bill. You know that bill. That bill.
So I will touch on that.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that, and because I also talked to Representative Willard Lindsay about that bill, and he kind of gave me a little insight. But come on, Ia, do your thing, girl. Let us know who you are.
All righty. I am Iye Gbada Wali Fagbenro. That is my African spiritual name. Some people know me as Sister Deborah or Sister Bell also. And I'm an educator. I'm also a mother of 5 plus 2.
All
I
right.
have a host of grandchildren. I love teaching. I've been in education. This is my 32nd year in education. I've taught everything from pre-K to homeschool, religious schools, charter schools, and public schools. During my journey, I've learned a lot. I am naturally attracted to children. I started out babysitting as a teenager, and I just kind of grew from there.
Wow.
What made me develop a love for children is actually I was going to school to become a nurse and I later wanted to become a doctor, but I had children in college and I would go out and play with my children on the playground. And I kind of saw how barbaric children can be. They were kind of really mean to each other. So I started doing organized play. And when I started, it became easy. It was so easy and I had so much fun that the adults in the apartment complex would come out and sit on their porches and watch me play with their children. So I was taking a zoology class and it was kind of hard. And someone suggested, they was like, oh man, you would be a great educator. So I thought, let me take a class. I took the class. It was so easy. I just kind of slid over from that to education. And because you have the ability to create, and I am a creative, it just made it more easier for me. So that's how I got started in education. I also did some research when I went into the classroom. So I researched all of the types of schools that I previously mentioned, and I looked up things like where do people's children go when they work in Congress. I looked up how they teach in Singapore, Japan, Africa,
Wow.
China, Finland. And by the way, Finland is probably number 1 right now in education. So I wanted to know what it looked like for somebody else because I saw so many of our children suffering in education and I really learned a lot. The whole structure is different based on all of the schools that I named before.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I got started. I started off in pre-K and then I went up from there. So I've taught, my degree is elementary education, pre-K through 8th grade. And I also have a master's degree in urban education. So I have quite a bit of experience in education
That is
as far as
awesome.
that's concerned.
That is awesome. Then before we move all the way into the our topic, give us a little bit of the backdrop of your African related studies and things of that nature. How you came about the name Iye, because my alias is also Fagbenro is a very common name in West Nigeria. But give us a little bit more of that background as well, and bring us up to speed with some of your other really fun stuff that you do, and then we're gonna get into the seriousness
Okay.
passion.
So a few years ago, I was fortunate. I worked at a school here in Oklahoma City called Marcus Garvey Leadership Charter School.
Mhm.
Took a 13-day study tour to Africa. We studied the transatlantic slave route. We went to Senegal and then we went to Gambia. And we had a sister school in Serekunda. So that experience made me really want to know, like, what were we like outside of education? What were we like before we were brought here to this country? What did we do? How did we have fun? How did we make things? So when I got a chance to go to Africa, woo, honey, I got hit with myself. When I came back, I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm going to have to find somebody so I can continue this journey. So we had a group in Tulsa called the African Ancestral Society. And by the time I got back and like kind of reconnected with them, they had really catapulted themselves into African spirituality. So I went through that transition and I went through a rites of passage and I joined on. And that's how I developed my name. My name is Iye Gbada Wali. And the coolest part is my name means one who brings hope or one who gives life. And I was right on point for what I'm doing, which is teaching and coaching. So that really kind of opened me up. That whole experience made me transition past trying to be what somebody else is, trying to worry about somebody else's skills, comparing myself. Because once I got into that, it really shows you that everybody is here on their own journey and their own path. You are given strengths. You are given things that you can attract yourself to. You're given things that you need to stay away from to keep this spiritual journey strong. So once I learned that about myself, not only did I change, I started to help other people change too.
Right, right.
Sometimes we go in the way of looking for that help, not knowing that we are the help all along. So I just kind of connect you back to yourself,
Yeah.
like I hit with myself.
That's awesome. Now, yeah, I always ask all my guests, uh, you got your water?
Do I have my water? No, ma'am, I don't have my water.
I'm gonna need you to get up, go get your water,
Oh,
cause
yes, ma'am.
your little throat might get a little dry, and
Right,
we want you to take your little sip and swallow and keep it moist, and keep it moving.
right. Well, in my tablets of brown voice, give me a pair of seconds.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, One of the amazing things I like to tell everybody, my birth name was Deborah, and meeting Iya, I met her at the ICE Event Center in Bar and Grill here in Oklahoma City, and poetry uh, is how I met her and hooked up. And when I met you, Iya, you had already made your transition. See, reason why she say Iye and I'm saying Iya, when I went through my initiation in Abeokuta, we spell it Iya, Iya, and they also so now they're doing Iye, and that means mother. So when I met you, you had already gone through your transition, and when you said your name one evening at Dope Poetry, I was like, Fuck Bang Row. Oh, now come on now. I'm like that, mine's is Ianifa Egunshola Ifag Balabo Fag Bainro. And then I was like, Do, 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 do. I knew I had found my soul sister. And we've been soul sisters ever since. We don't see a lot of each other. However, when we do, it's all love. And
Yes, ma'am.
I love about you, and I appreciate about you the most is that you can feel that love just radiating up off of you. So I can understand why the children really love you. So now, how did this affect your passion, your transition? Because you have to go from Deborah into Iye. I mean, what did that do for your passion for teaching? Because before the educational paradigm shift we're going to get to, you had already began an educational paradigm shift with everything you was doing. How did that really affect your passion for teaching?
Well, it was kind of easy because I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. So I used to wear my head with a scarf all the time.
Mhm.
People really thought I was African. They always say, "Hey, are you African?" And I wear a lot of head wraps. So
Yeah.
they already thought that. So it's kind of easy to make that transition. Now, the first transition was rough because people challenged me on my belief in God, whether or not I was trying to hurt or harm the community. So once I got past that, but I just did it, using peace. Proper education always corrects error. So if you know what to say to people, the transition is not as rough. And the people who are most hurt by it are probably your family members if they don't agree with you. So I have to tell people in this spiritual walk, I'm not anti-Christian. I'm not anti-Muslim. I'm not anti-African. I'm all of them, and I can be because that's what I just said that I was. So, and I don't need people's permission to validate that for me because I know who I am. I was born to carry this spiritual banner, and so that's what I do. I remember Minister Farrakhan was lecturing,
Mhm.
said, I used to get sad, but he said, Allah will try you with the trials of the people so that you can help them because everybody is not a chosen one. And it resonated with me so strongly, I got goosebumps and I almost started to cry. So then when I joined African spirituality and I got my reading, oh man, it's kind of like, when you get yourself fixed up and you ready, and you like, shoot, you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing about what I know and that banner I carry in spirituality because I'm not going to talk against yours. I'm going to meet you where you are. And baby, we're going to travel on this journey.
Yes, yes, we definitely an educational paradigm shift when we get to exchanging information based on facts rather than belief. That is awesome. Did you have any other challenges to your passion for education within being a Muslim, going attaching you because I don't know how rigid um now I know the Muslim system itself in the Nation of Islam is is high on education. Education is a paramount. It's like at the top of the chart. Were you Did you ever think for 1 minute that you had chosen the wrong path?
No, no, ma'am. We grew up Christian, and my mom's family was Lutheran, but my dad was a Seventh-day Adventist. So Seventh-day Adventists are really strict about what you can and can't do in religion. So I feel like that prepped me to transition over to Islam because it's also too very structured and disciplined. That's where I built my foundation to be so strong and solid. Now my daddy, he was a hard man. And he just didn't play about us knowing how to use our mind and knowing how to stand up on what we believe in. He made us play chess. So he played chess a lot for competition.
Uh-huh.
He lost. He would wake us up at 3 o'clock in the morning, baby, and make us hit that table. And one night I had to get up at 3 and I was getting ready to go into high school. And I just thought, oh my God, this man is crazy. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. But I was upset and I wasn't playing hard like he wanted me to. So he slammed his hand on the table and he said a few choice words, but he said, what I'm going to teach you on this table, nobody will be able to take that away from you. I don't care what they teaching us in that school. Right now, you get ready to learn this from me. So we played, and he let me go to bed until I played, hard. I really played the game. So that discipline and that structure just catapulted me to where I'm supposed to be.
Wow. And are you from Oklahoma City or?
No, ma'am. I am from Muskogee, Oklahoma. From the gig.
Hey. Muskogee, okay.
Muskogee.
All
Yes.
right. That is all right. I remember when I worked at the bank, I used to have to go back and forth for the bank to Muskogee as a research analysis adjustment clerk, whatever they want to call it. And you bitty town,
Yes.
it is. But you get to know everyone. Did you feel, were you frightened to leave Muskogee and come on up Oklahoma City?
Oh, no, ma'am. Not at all.
Not at all. Not at
Had the
all.
spirit to travel. I go a lot.
Yeah.
I did when I was younger. My parents really kind of exposed us to some things growing up. We used to go stay with my aunt and uncle. They lived in San Antonio, and my uncle was in the Air Force, and he believed in exposure. So when we went to San Antonio one summer, he took us everywhere and taught us about a lot of things. So much that I went back to school and we were talking about the Alamo, and I was able to get up right on the spot and give a presentation. And in that moment, it triggered something in me to say, you got to learn as much as you can in life, and don't be afraid to go places and figure out how other people do things. So
Right, right, right. So now, are both your parents still living or have they both transitioned?
no, my dad transitioned in 2014, but my mom's still living.
Okay. And she is very supportive of, the path that you're walking on.
Yes, you kind of know how, like, I was a daddy's girl. You can't tell me nothing about my daddy, baby. But my mom is like that about me, baby. That's my daughter. She's smart. Hey, she gonna take care of me. She gonna take care of you. That's my baby right there. That's how my mommy is to me.
Right, right. And I can see that with that kind of love, that fuels your passion as an educator as well. Didn't you do something about, you had some event where you was combing young girls' hair or doing something where they,
Yeah, yes, we actually thought about doing that again this year. So when I was in Tulsa, we used to do. As a matter of fact, the sister that's on here, she was a part of the group too. When we try to get people together, like the back to school workshops, if you will. But we did this thing where we had a hair day, where we had some barbers and some volunteers and some beauticians, and we sat and braided hairs all day. I think on one day I probably cleared about 7 or 8 heads, but we did little braid styles for the babies and have them ready for school.
now what gave you the idea to do that?
Now that one was not my idea. I joined in on that one, but before then, I used to do back to school workshops where I teach children how to go to school. I give them the little pointers on what you need to do. This is why you feel uncomfortable. This is how you stop. This is how you ask a question. That kind of stuff. Because
That is,
children need to know how to go to school.
yeah, that is awesome. I never thought about um, being prepped for how to go to school. I mean,
Mhm.
when we were growing up, it's school time. Mama, take go get a few little things first desk, and you go. And you go nervous and you're scared and you don't know what to expect. And that is really, really awesome that you have that in place. Now, do you still do that uh, for every school year when school gets ready to start? You still have that school prep for the children in the community?
No, ma'am. I haven't done it in the past few years, but I either do that I kind of slacked off when I went to middle school. Middle school is a whole nother creature, but I used to do that, or I would just like put some packets together, like some pens, papers, and stuff, and just take my class list and go door to door and introduce myself and welcome them that way. Welcome them from their turf, so they know, hey, she might be all right. She kind of cool.
Yeah.
Some parents are really reserved. They're kind of like, "What's your angle, chick?" But once you like talk to them, they kind of calm down because it's important for me to know who's coming into my classroom. Now, I haven't figured that out on the school level yet. Middle school is different.
So what's so different about middle school?
Them hormones are jumping. They don't like the babies. They love you. They like, oh, my teacher came. Middle school children look at you like, dang, she weird. She came to my house. So, it's just a whole different approach with them.
Um, Now, and this is still on the subject because we're talking about how educators maintain, their love. So is everything that you do you do it from that foundation of love where would you feel like this is love giving you these ideas as you move through each educational level?
Yes, ma'am. A few years back, long time ago, I'm a very competitive teacher. So a few years back, I had to come up with my own formula for survival because some teachers in some environments are very toxic. I'm just going to be honest.
Yes, please.
So, especially if you've had a child that somebody else wasn't successful with. So I just decided, what if I worked for kings and queens and I had no excuses to make a difference in these children? So I started there. No matter what their issues are or what I think they are, I'm not going to not connect and be able to teach the children. So I had to have my own shift. And once I made my own shift, it kind of opened up for me. A couple of years after that, I got a chance to meet Marva Collins and do Marva Collins training. Once I did the Marva Collins training, baby, there's not a mind that I have met, a little mind, that I couldn't unlock. Behavior too.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of your belief system and the amount of love that you're willing to give to take the time to train them. And then I took off all of the jackets from the school. Like they're here and you're there and they should know better and they don't have money and they can't eat, because I grew up like them. My mom and daddy, they, they just like those children's parents at one phase in their life. So I can really identify with them. So when they give me excuses, I just, clap back on them. And then they kind of know. They be like, oh, yeah, Miss Bell is cool. She's like us. So you can't get over on her. But that's kind of how I built it. I just had to change the belief system. And then I did a lot of studying. I read like Amos Wilson's Awakening the Genius in Black Children. I read Jawanza Kunjufu's How to Develop a Positive Self-Image and Discipline in Black Children. So I started to read about us. Like, what did our scholars say about education? And once I did that, it was a done deal. So it built my love for what I do.
So is that something that you recommend for educators?
I do.
They've got to stay up on not just the current educational curriculum, because you see, when I heard you speak about going to Africa, and that perspective from way different from the Western perspective. Let me ask you, did you ever get a chance to do any teaching in Africa with any of the students there in school, the young children?
No, we didn't get a chance to teach, but they did partner us with teachers. And I was so fortunate. The teachers that I partnered with were 13 and 14, and both of them were males. And they will like have up to 60 students in a class. But the environment is so different. It's so different. The children are not disrespectful like that and they don't talk. So that was cool to see. And when they run out of chairs, they just kind of stand in the back. But they're very attentive and they really participate. So we were in the class for a short time and they were giving them a concert. So I got the chance to witness 13 and 14-year-olds bossing up like grown-ups and wrapping up their lessons and taking all those children outside for the concert. Now they do believe in corporal punishment where I was. And what and how they teach was very different. The pre-K, they said all pre-K start off with gardening. So right off the bat, they learn how to garden. They have their own sayings. It's so much African wisdom on the walls. They just have covered them with proverbs and they communicate that to the children. So they understand very early on the reason why you have to be educated in the first place, which is something that we really need to work on, because people say, I come to school because my mom and daddy make me, or my grandma make me. I don't want to come. So they really understand
Right.
that education is about being able to build your own community and take care of yourself.
Right. And that is one of the detriments that we've had to deal with uh, in the Western Hemisphere, is that we were conditioned to be resistant to education. Um, you know, I grew up during segregation. So, all we had was that pride in,
Yes.
and the teachers, so our perspective was different. And now, as you continued as an educator to see the swings and the shifts, were you ever skeptical about quitting? Like maybe retiring?
No, not retiring. I did for a while want to move out of the classroom, and I still do, because I think I'll be more effective teaching people how to teach, or teaching them important concepts that will especially build us in our community. Because most teachers they come in innocent and they want to do a good job, but they want to do a good job with what's handed to them. And they don't know when to interject our culture. But no, I had many chances to go somewhere else and do something else. But I love teaching, and I stayed in public schools. I stayed in the trenches. A lot of people ask me, why do I pick the schools that I pick? I go straight to the hood, or what people deem the hood. And
Right.
that's just my place. So
Um, do you have any idea why in our communities, um, when it comes to educating our children, that the lack of participation is what it is? Um, and are you trying, maybe you and a group of other educators, are y'all trying to formulate any other solutions? Because you also work alongside, or have worked alongside, Anthony Proverb, Anthony Proverb, Anthony Crawford, aka Proverb, dope everything. Um, the two of you have worked together before, right? As
yes, well,
educators.
I just kind of went and checked them out. I didn't really work with them. I was kind of like the helper in the background. But
Yeah.
they have this program called Poetry and Chill. Him and Gregory, and they come to our class. They pick students to come down and participate in poetry. But I go down there every once in a while and check on the students, check on them, make sure they have what they need. But it's incredible what they do, because they really go down there and teach outside of the box, and they teach them principles and values, as well as how to do the poetry. I went to their last performance for this past school year. It was just absolutely amazing. Some of the students that are in class that are really quiet were being outspoken there and just, being themselves. So they really create an environment conducive to learning. And
Right.
some students are students who normally get in trouble, But down there, they don't. It's a different environment.
Right.
They can feel the love.
Yeah. Now you said the magic word, because you said outside the box. And we know, here we go, our governor. I want to know, what was your reaction? What still is your reaction? How you gonna deal with it when he passed that bill, House Bill 1775? Um, it says Governor Kevin Sitt, is it Sitt or Stitt?
Stint.
Stitt signed a bill into law that restricts Oklahoma schools from teaching critical race theory. Now, what I was told was it it can't be a required uh, subject in school. It has to be an elective, if the children want to take it. How is that affecting you, though?
Well, um, when I first heard it, so one of my colleagues mentioned it to me at first. They asked me, did I know? And then in a very humorous way, they say, Bell, that's what they call me at school, you're not going to be able to teach Black history anymore. So I just looked like, girl, bye. I'm teaching. So that's a non-negotiable for me. He wrote that for everybody who's willing to kind of like listen and pay attention to it.
Right.
This is my theory on what he's trying to do. You can look at it two ways. Like you can say, oh man, we can't teach critical race theory, which is what makes white people culpable. Mm-hmm. So I can actually start with his bill and have the children do research on their own, and they come to the same conclusion. Or I can skip back to the foundation and start somewhere in Africa and build up to now on why we even need to have a critical race theory. Most people are not going to read the bill, and they definitely don't know what critical race theory is. It's looking at why somebody set up these disadvantages for us. But a lot of teachers in the building think that we can't talk about it at all. You can still talk about it without mentioning them. We're very metaphoric people. That's our whole language. We're just full of metaphors. Mm-hmm. If I put it in my language, then they won't even understand what I'm really trying to say. So it didn't bother me. I just thought, wow, that's a bold move in a time like this. Mm-hmm. And it's probably not going to work, because if you have predominantly African-American children, you have to teach them about themselves if you want to make progress. A man who's at the center of his own education is a man that wins. When you take us out of the center of our own education, then you set us up to lose. And I'm not even sure if this is like unconstitutional. Hey, but I told my team, I said, hey, just take the alley-oop. Let's go back to the beginning. So if we go back to the beginning, then we have to tell them why Aristotle, Socrates, and all them other cats are so smart, because they was at the mystical schools sitting outside them doors taking notes. And then they came over here after they separated us from our foundation and tried to feed it back to us in a way that causes us to be at a disadvantage. So for me, it's not going to matter. It could be a wonderful thing. Or I could challenge it and just teach anyway. You can still teach anyway and have the children to do the research, because in any report about somebody, you have to go through that phase where you talk about obstacles that were in their way. How did they overcome the obstacles? You can't take that away. I don't have to tell you, hey, they trying to block you. They trying to do this. You can figure it out for yourself. And another thing that I do in my classroom is when I start to teach children about the world or how they fit in the world. Mm-hmm. I don't teach them how the world is against you. I just say, let me tell you where you fit and why we act the way we act. If somebody starts your history from slavery, mm-hmm. then all of your responses are going to sound like a slave. It's going to sound trapped. It's going to sound like you hardly get out of it. So you don't really have a real inspiration to get across. But if I told you that we were the most integrous people on the face of the earth, right here past slavery, back to the foundation, you're going to want to know why yourself. When I connect you back to yourself, you're going to say, that makes sense. I can see it. And then you're going to get back in your lane and still travel down the road that you're supposed to be on. Because it's a difference to tell a man, you know, this happened to you, slavery happened to you because of this, this, and this. And then we look at each other like, oh my God, why do Black people act like this? Black people act like this because they don't know the Black people in which they come from. So that's my approach to that. I'm not worried about Governor Stint. Hey, I'm a pray for his folks to come take care of him on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, when I first heard about it, read it, uh I thought, now it's a, to me the bill is ludicrous because they act like it's a whole bunch of you know privileged white children in the Black history classes, and that's going to make them feel bad, that teaching critical race theory will make whoever is on the bottom of that totem pole feel bad, uh instead of the result of making the privileged look at themselves to get an understanding of themselves. Do you have periodically any of their privileged children in your classroom?
All of their children are privileged children. They could be the lowest of the low. An incident can occur with Black children when they get in trouble. And boy, we just have to discuss it and, debate on what the consequence is going to be. And the teachers are stern and firm. One of them get in trouble, they rush straight over there to them to make sure they're okay. Calm down. I'm right here. The language. I mean, it doesn't matter what their educational levels are. It's just, if in any environment with a bunch of children of different races, they cater to the needs of their children. Period. But they'll like be really stern and firm with ours. I've seen that over the years since I've been teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But the news, we talk about critical race theory, the news make us feel some type of way. So what can we do about that?
Right.
We need a critical law that y'all can't talk about us on the news because we feel some type of way. And it's not true most of the time.
You know, do you have uh, other teachers who look up to you and are counting on you to give them the courage to be creative in their teaching, to continue their teaching? We won't call it critical race theory. Don't you just love how they came up with
Right.
that little title, critical race theory? What's critical about it, Iye? Iye, what's critical?
It's nothing critical about it. It's just they can't handle the truth. Like it's real simple. It's simple. So I'm glad you asked me that question because my team, they're younger than me, so we talk a lot about like Black history. Sometimes they refer to me as a Black history queen or whatever label they want to give, and I'm grateful. But I'm like, I definitely am not there. I know a lot of people who know more than me, but we talk about the impact that the students will receive if we get them grounded and give them a knowledge of self. So our math teacher last year, we do project work together. We started talking about the Tulsa massacre. So each class, I was English language arts. One teacher was math. We had social studies and science. So we all pulled together and came up with some activities that we were going to do
Mm-hmm.
to end the school year based on the Tulsa massacre because the 100-year anniversary was coming up.
Yes.
So we decided, well, one teacher decided that she wanted to do a business pop-up shop. So we chose her idea to
Mm-hmm.
And it was right in the midst of the governor making that decision, but we did it anyway. We called the news, and they displayed a couple of our children on the news. They kind of interviewed them. Well, the district didn't want them to go inside to record, I guess because of COVID. I don't know what you know.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to set up a couple of students outside, but we did it. We talked to those children, we trained them, we showed them the videos, and we told them exactly what happened. Our students did not have fallout because of that. They didn't. They, some of them were like, "Wow, Miss Bell, I didn't know that happened." And isn't Tulsa real close to us? Some of them didn't even know Tulsa was just an hour and a half away, but it made a difference. The children, we made them dress up, we made them stand up by their creations and do presentations. It was wonderful. So I don't know what he's thinking about. Maybe, I don't know, it's the guilt factor. But we talked about it. We showed the videos to all of our students, black, white,
Yeah.
and Asian and otherwise. And there was not one lick of animosity. But they gave each other like cheers. They complimented each other's boards, and they listened. And then at the end of the day, we actually did a Shark Tank for what other students in the building voted on to be the best. And we let them go heads up, and they went heads up. If we awaken a genius in our black children, man, the sky is the limit.
Wow. And that is something
Hard.
definitely got to do. And let's and let's we're not done yet. So we know the critical just mean they can't handle
Yeah,
it.
you look deeper into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now the race, is it just solely us? Or
It
are
is
they
solely us.
saying that Asians, because what do we do with multicultural month now? Because if we can't teach critical race theory, then is there any more need to have a celebration called multicultural month that was started and began being held during Black History Month when I was in school? What
Right.
what are we going to do with that? Does it just mean the Asians can continue studying about themselves, the Native Americans, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or are they trying to make that race, the word itself, exclusive alongside of critical? Like, why didn't they just say critical Black study? And then theory? Why do you think they chose the word theory?
Because they want to make it look like it's something that we kind of like made up, if you will, or we believe. And it's really like actual facts. The stuff happens and can be proven. I had a talk with one of my friends, and we talked about that word theory. We talked about the whole like critical race theory, and it's just the way they really play chess with us, but we don't know how to play the game as a whole, as a people. So we kind of hear them out and try to show understanding, but it's just another block, because if you read the new definition of critical race theory, it starts off by saying it's a civil rights movement. If it was a civil rights movement, why would you stop it?
Right.
Why do we have such a need to have a civil rights movement? What's going on in this country that we always have to have something that helps us be here?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're gonna do it for one, why won't you do it for all?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but they only talk in terms of us when they talk about the critical race theory so far. It like scared a lot of educators, and now they're not too sure if they can teach any Black history. So I'm interested to see how it's going to lay out, because I'm going to teach them no matter what.
Um, will you be threatened at all by the school board? And I mean, is he introducing a whole new curriculum? I mean, is it going to be like the regular curriculum until it gets to Black history, and then it's going to drop off and push all over, you know, to another?
No, see, this is how the curriculum works. They do choose a curriculum, but their curriculum is basically the standards. So Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma has standards that they want you to teach the students in increments of 9 weeks.
Mhm.
You teach them, they test. Now, the resources that you use, you can definitely use the ones that the district purchased. And many of them are infused with a little bit of blackness, so you can use those. You also can use your own outside resources because the goal is just to be able to take that standard and unpack it and teach it to those students. But some of the things that are in the curriculum, you know, it's kind of watered down
Mhm.
in their presentation, but they do give you the option to add rigor or make it harder, you know. So if you make it harder, then you have to go into that critical thinking. So if you go into the critical thinking, you need something to hold their attention. So most times in this country, they use controversy to do that. So I'm following suit. So if I ever had to have a meeting, I'm telling them what I'm telling you. You just won't be able to stop it because the whole critical race theory, what they want from that is for, you know, little Johnny and them to come in there and not feel some type of way because they got to learn this thing about black people and they have to learn how their grandparents acted toward us to hold us back and make us feel bad. But they don't care that we feel bad.
Right,
So
right. Now, you said rigor. Does that mean that you got to go into your own pocket when you want to go past what they will supply?
no, because rigor in education is just, you're just going to change the verb. Like you can say, hey, we're going to read this for understanding. We're going to read this for knowledge and comprehension, whether or not you can regurgitate what I just said. We're going to read this to see if you can analyze it. Then you keep going. We're going to read this to see if we can apply it. You know, we're going to read this to see if you can use it on your own. That's what I mean by rigor. So, no, but many times teachers do spend a lot of their own money naturally because they want to do other things. They want to kind of like teach outside of the box, but you can get the school to do it. They have Title I funds. Our school is pretty good about supporting us for the most part when we want school supplies and stuff. And we have a lot of donors, like churches come adopt. So back in the day, you know, you used to have to spend money if you wanted to do things, but
Right, right.
now you just have to be aware that we have resources.
Mhm. What school will you be teaching at in the fall?
FD Moon, and it's a middle school.
I went to FD Moon. That was my alma mater back in the day. That was when FD Moon was by itself and John F. Kennedy High School was by itself. Merging them two together, woo, would have not been feasible
Right,
back in uh, my day. I am so glad that you and I have these interlapping paths. You know,
right,
Deborah, Deborah. Uh,
right.
and when I was in school, we didn't have Black history as really like part of it. Was an elective alongside of sociology and U.S. history, so on and so forth. So I love that you and I have these crossings, these mergers, um, so that we can talk about different things. One more thing that's on my mind with this whole fiasco. Will you be physically in school this fall, or will you all still be doing virtual classes?
We are back in the building this year, so
Back in the hill.
we do have a virtual portion called E3. Some of the parents are still not sure that they want their children amongst the population, so we still offer classes through E3.
Okay.
And I wanted to address something else that you
Yes.
said earlier about parents coming into the school and being supportive. That whole gap right there. I think that gap occurs because we don't do anything to build those bridges. Like back in the days, schools knew that every so often you're going to showcase those children and show the parents that they're learning. So we do that in little pockets now. We don't do it enough. And we don't make it inviting enough for the parents or the children. Like we do a search before the students come into the school.
Right.
The first day of school, I always thought on the first day that is very invasive. You can't search somebody and not tell them that you have to search them first. You have to make them feel comfortable with that. So we got all through their backpacks, and and they give us attitude too. So I think some things we need to change on how we're doing, and then there needs to be a language across the board that the parents recognize and the students, and we just need to be on the same accord. We really need to do some work with getting those parents on our side, because a lot of them are like, I support school, I want my children to learn, and a lot of them feel like y'all don't teach my children anyway, so why should I do that? So
Wow. I want to read some of these comments that are, uh, let me see if I can get into them, into my chats. Um, now, Sister Muhammad, please don't get upset with me. Is it Tamikwa? Did I say it right?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct,
Oh,
Tamikwa.
Tamikwa. Okay, and she was saying that awesome, that you are awesome in the classroom. Tamikwa, are you at the same school she's at? What makes you say she's so awesome in the classroom?
Well, actually, Sister Deborah, I call her Sister Deborah because she's my sister.
Yeah.
She taught my daughter, who is now 28 years old.
Oh, wow.
So she was her teacher in Tulsa. So her teaching techniques, like I said, is awesome. Like she had those children, I think she taught her first grade, but she had them doing like middle school, high school words, vocabulary in the first grade. So, she challenges her students. And I like that. And when she was talking about the relationship with the parent and the school, that's one thing about Sister Deborah. Like she had a relationship with all of her parents in the school and in the community. So her engagement, in the school and in the community was wonderful. We're missing that. We don't have a lot of teachers that are engaging with the parents outside of the school. And I can tell you a story. Sister Deborah would take a student home with her and, like she said, braid her hair, because she used to braid my daughter's hair. She would braid her hair, and we would have like kind of circles where we would talk to the young girls. So her building that relationship like that out of the classroom really brought the love that the students and the parents had for her and still have to this day. Like I said, I've been knowing her. My daughter's 28. So
wow.
And she's my sister.
You're in Tulsa or are you in Oklahoma City?
I'm actually in Fort Worth, Texas. I lived in Tulsa for like 11 years, and then I met Sister Deborah through the nation. Yeah. And our children grew up together. She ended up being their teacher. And so we have a strong relationship. Like I said, this is just my sister from another mother. I love her. And I always will call her with any teaching questions, any concerns I have with my children. I knew I could call her and get the answer. And she helped me, through my process of rearing my babies.
Oh, that's awesome. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
With
thank you for having us.
Yes, and everybody else that will get an opportunity to listen to her and you once I edit it and upload it to my YouTube channel and put it on my podcast stations. And if since there's four of us here, if the other person wants to chime in and have something to say, Let's see who else is here. There's you. I think I just, so there's one more, myself, EA, and you, and then there was someone else. I thought I saw a brother peep in for just a second. And that is very critical. Uh, that's that old time love, EA, for you to take a child into your home, into your heart, and especially, well, any of our children. However, for it to be the young girls and you comb their hair and you develop a relationship with their parents, uh, that takes a lot of love. Um, would that be something that you would even recommend to other educators who have the heart? Do you have any preparatory? How you get into them people's houses to get their babies?
Like, listen, I tell people, I said, I'm not only black, I'm that real black. I was that old soul. You know,
Yeah.
God really blessed me with what to say to people, but I always ask them, are they all right? Do they need help? And then, I tell them a little bit of my story so that they can relate. And then we go from there. But most teachers, believe it or not, most teachers will do that. They'll take children in. We buy clothes. I mean, I've done not trying to be brag for anything, but I paid bills before. I've bought school clothes for whole families. I hustled up money from other people so they can have something to eat. It's just like community. It's communal. So, it's almost instinctive. Me and one of my teacher friends, we used to pick children like once a month. And she's real materialistic. So she'd take them to the mall and buy them some the latest shoes. And I did that too. I used to do stuff like if somebody talk about a student in the class because of something they don't have, I wait till they stuff get a little dusty. Then I take that student, I get them all brand new. And I
Yeah.
tell them, when I put these clothes on you, don't say nothing. Just stick your chest out and just kind of look at them and keep walking. So I do that kind of stuff. Other things that I do for self-esteem is this little girl had her hair in an old-timey hairstyle, if you will. We do the little beehives in the back, let them
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
The students was laughing. So I went home and I braided my hair just like hers. And then the next day, she became the superstar. They was like, man, her hair's like Miss Bell. Oh, that's cool. And then you hear people walk by, I like your hair. I like your hair. Miss Bell, how did y'all get the same hairstyle? So I'm real communal. I'm real communal. And I kind of get, Marva Collins challenged me to look at students based on where they are. So if you know where a student is, you can always help them. And I remember in the nation when I first started studying, I believe it's in the Holy Quran. It says Allah raises us in stages and degrees. So that resonated with me. So if I know where you are, then I can really help you and unlock your challenges. But I want to say this about Sister Tamika.
Come on.
That class, I love you too, sis, first of all. But that class, I had them in the second grade, but they had a really good first grade teacher. And she just put them where I could just work with them. So when I got them, they were on second grade, probably the middle of the year of second grade, once I tested them.
Mhm.
So when I took the Marva Collins training, we got these books called Vocabulary for the College Bound Student. Well, I teach phonics. So once you teach phonics, you really can teach them big words. So
Yeah.
we learned like the 10 rules of spelling. There's only like 91 phonemes in the English language. So once I exposed them to that kind of stuff, I asked them that they want to do something really cool. And they was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, do y'all want to spell words that your parents might not even be able to say? And they was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got them all hyped and I started giving them these lists. When I tell you those children were knocking back those words, not only could they spell them, they knew the meaning too, because they wanted to do something big. They wanted one of those words that their parents had. So I had a couple of students with parents that were in college. So they writing down words from their parents' book. Miss Bell, can you teach us this word? So I just started, we started rolling. And when I tell you, that's probably one of the strongest classes that
Right.
I ever taught. They were on it. They were on it, but they had a good foundation. So I just took them, we took off. It was excellent. It was great.
Wow. Wow.
Parents were real supportive. They were really
Wow.
supportive.
And I can tell just in this conversation your love and your passion for teaching in any educational shift within any
Yes.
paradigm. It just ain't gonna it just ain't gonna bother you, is it? Iye?
No, it is not. Listen, I perfected the what they quote unquote knuckleheads. Those are the real leaders, by the way. They
Yeah.
were in class, so I negotiate with them in the beginning.
Hmm.
They permission.
Yeah.
Like, y'all gonna let me teach? Are we fighting today? So once you win them over, you can really do a lot. These children can do a lot. They actually know as much as we know, but in their world. So you just have to be that bridge to get them over. You just have to get them over because they know a lot. They're really exposed to way more than we were as children. But
Mhm.
but I know how to shine them up. I know how to make them shine. Like I wrote this math curriculum called Just Put Them on Front Street. So it's a math methodology. And it's based on the student as a listener, the student as an active participant, and then the student as a teacher. So I learned that they speak their language way better than we do. So I just empower them to
Mhm.
get information from me, the ones who can get it from me, and then give it to the others. You would be amazed at how much students can do in a classroom.
Right.
I lost one student, not one that I didn't, get their attention and make them have a better outlook. At the end of the year, they calling me mama. I tell them children, honey, we'll go in the backyard. I'll beat you down like an auntie, like your big auntie. But you're not gonna do that on my watch. I tell them I'll beat you all the way across the finish line. So we're gonna work together or we're gonna work together after we work together. So middle school has been a little bit more difficult because they come from everywhere and I don't really know them, but I'm filling them out. They'll still tell you, oh yeah, Miss Bell don't play. Don't do that to her, man. She not playing with you. Cause I tell them I do drive-bys, baby. I'm like you. I will be in your front room getting my plate, probably getting your plate after I tell your mama what you did. So yeah, I go to their house. There's one little boy, and I'm gonna find somebody to come get him. So I had one little boy that cussed. I said something. I said, "Hey, watch your mouth," because I didn't hear who used the word. And so he just goes off. Y'all always trying to blame me, and he's doing his little rant. So he started cussing. He was like, "You teachers get on my MF and nerves. Y'all always trying to get somebody in effing trouble." So I thought, "Oh, excuse me." So he got up and he stormed out. And they tried to bring him back down there because I didn't write him up. But they tried to bring him back to class. I said, "Oh no, 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 no. Unless I meet his mammy or his pappy, he ain't coming back in here. He do not get to come back in here." I kicked his butt out of my class for 3 weeks. But this is what I told him. He said, "It don't matter if you call my mama. My daddy don't live with us. And my mama, she work all the time. So it don't matter." I said, "Let me tell you what I know about the Black family. It's always somebody in that Black family that everybody listen to. And I'm gonna shake your family tree till somebody come beat your behind, and then you'll come back to my class." So it took me a couple of weeks, but I found the uncle, baby. Whew. He came to my class. He said, "Are you Miss Bell?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Did this little boy cuss at you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "My nephew right here, this one right here, look at him good. He cussed at you?" I said, "Yes, sir, he did." I said, "A matter of fact, tell him what you said." I told him, he said, "Miss Bell, we'll be back." They went around that corner. He got him some act right. He came back. He said, "Apologize." The little boy hesitated just a little. He said, "Nah, we ain't ready. We ain't ready." He said, "Let's go." They went back around that corner. They came back. He was like, "Miss Bell, I'm sorry. And I never do that again. And I didn't come from that kind of family. And I know better. And my people are good people." Then I let him back in my classroom. I said, "Boy, I'm real Black. You don't get to do me like that." We friends now. He'll tell people, he come give me a hug and everything. He be like, "Man, this is Miss Bell. She the coolest teacher here."
That is so,
I,
that's what's needed.
yeah.
A lot of that is what's missing. I remember when I was doing some substitute teaching for the Middale school district, a non-certified substitute teacher, and um, it was different. Yeah, and I would get challenged, and we ain't supposed to be, touching the cherry. But
Right,
I'm like you, I'm real black. It'd be like I've been and touched you before I know I touched you and had you out in the
right.
hallway talking about what's gonna be. We gonna fight? I'm gonna what? I got my bail money.
Right. And you don't even need bail money because after you get an understanding with them, they
Yeah,
really just don't know what
right,
you would do or how concerned you are with
right,
livelihood. So
right.
once you get them together, I call it love, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact. I
yeah.
say, you need some love today. But I go to their house and scare them. This one little boy, he was showing out. I had him last year. So he's showing out, showing out, showing out. So they was like, Miss Bell, you need to get your son because he's showing out. Because he would just come upstairs and say, good morning, mom. I'm having a good day at school today. I said, you better. And so he was showing out. And I was at home. I was at home sick. And the teacher called me. She said, Miss Bell, I can't do nothing with him. And then another one called and said, Miss Bell, guess where I am? I said, well, she said, girl, I'm riding the bus with these children. I said, why? She said, because your son won't chill out. Baby, by the time he got off that bus, I was in his driveway. Well, he beat me. He took off running. They said, Miss Bell said she coming to get you. He took off running. As soon as they shut that door, honey, I was honking that horn. He came out negotiating, talking about Miss Bell. I promise you, if you just don't talk to her, I said, talk to who? If you just don't talk to my mama just this time, I'm telling you for the rest of the year, I'm gonna get my act together. He was like, I promise you. I say, hey, your argument is weak. You better work up something else because that's not happening. I'm staying here till your mama get off. And he kept begging and pleading. And finally I said, okay, I'm gonna give you one more chance. But I'm telling you, honey, I'm gonna be at the dinner table. And he came back to school. He was like, nah, man, I gotta chill out. Shooting his bell came to my house.
And that is exactly, if I were to say how educators maintain their love for teaching, I would say get real black or just get real and get them addresses and show up at their houses for dinner.
Yes, yeah. Some of them, if you just say, I'm gonna call your mama, it works. They be like, okay, man, I'm good. I'm good.
Right, right,
Some
right.
of them, they challenge you. They just really want the attention. He was just happy. I said, you smiling the whole time. You supposed to be in trouble. You smiling. You glad I came to your house, huh? He just looking like, no, you trying to get me in trouble. So you just have to build those relationships with them.
Yeah. And that's a lot of also what a lot is missing and still needed is being able to build those intimate parental type relationships. The children need to feel that love, that care, that concern, is rather than if their parents make them feel like they're a burden, then educators definitely cannot afford to make the child feel, we can't endorse that feeling that they get from home. uh they're looking for somewhere and someone that loves them, and they will learn what they have the ability to learn with the type of dedication that you have instilled within you. And girl, if we could clone you, can we clone can we clone you?
You can clone me because I just like to have fun. I tell my students at the end of the day, if we not having fun, you gonna have problems with me. I'm here trying to mess up my peaceful environment because I know what to do. Yeah,
That is
clone me.
awesome. That is truly awesome.
As a matter of fact, when I stop teaching, when I retire, I'm gonna go into teacher training.
When you talking about retiring,
I have 2 years.
wow,
And if somebody want to help me pay back my teacher retirement from when I took it out, I can go earlier than that.
wow. Do you have a protege by any chance? Somebody that you're gonna leave behind to carry on? Who you passing that torch off to?
I pass it to everybody that I touch. I'm pretty good at that, getting people fired up in what they can do. They're superpowers. So
Right.
right now I work with three beautiful young ladies that are younger than me. One of them is a beast about her business already. She's real smart. I
Right.
always drop jewels on them as far as
Yeah.
educating, period, and especially educating us. So I'm in everybody's ear.
Yeah.
They
So,
just make me like the Black history expert, even though I'm really not. I'm just like really inspired
yeah,
to teach children about themselves.
right,
Be the
right.
best thing. Yeah.
So, would you say that your advice to educators is to, if they are going to continue to maintain their love for teaching, because there are some other shifts coming, there are some more coming, directed truly at us.
Right.
Um, would you say they better find out what their superpower is?
They better find out what their superpower is. Just, I mean, teach. You can teach the truth without harming someone. I think, like, I see what Governor Stint is trying to do. You know, he don't want them to go through kind of like what we had to go through. However, it does not mean you cannot teach Black history. That's gonna be my superpower that I'm gonna give everybody. Unlock your mind so you can really understand what's going on. Don't move away from teaching them about us. You just can't do that. It's really impossible if you know your history. Because
Right.
we're in there, baby. We in there. So
Have you ever been
I'm
challenged by
gonna connect everybody to their superpower. That's my goal. So
that?
I do that on the side anyway.
That's awesome. Have you ever been challenged by any of your white students about anything that you're teaching?
No, because usually if there are only, I'm real considerate. If there are only like one or two white students in my class,
Mhm,
and I give people a project like a Black History project,
mhm,
usually get them to look up the white people who helped us
mhm, mhm.
so that it can still be like somewhat even, you
Yeah.
know,
So
that
they,
has something to do with the movement. So
right,
they
right,
can come. Cause I had this one little white boy and he was really gung ho. He didn't want to do anything Black. I gave an assignment and he refused to do it. So I asked him why not. And he just said, why aren't we learning about white people? So then I just sat down and had a conversation with him. And I picked up very quickly that he probably had parents that don't like us really, or
right.
don't care for them learning about Black people. So I just hooked him up with his own people who actually help Black people.
Mhm.
That's how I get around it. I mean, I don't have no problem if they don't want to know. They don't have to know. They need to know. They probably need to know worse than we do. But it's my duty to make sure that we know.
Right, right.
So,
So don't give up, educators who are teaching critical race theory courses. Don't
You
give
see
up.
why
yeah.
I said she's so awesome?
Isn't she? Isn't she? Tamika? She is. I mean, girl, I want to go back to school and I want to go to your class, Mama.
Well, come on, honey.
I want to go to your
Fun.
class. I want to go to your Black History class. Are we gonna have a Black History program?
Well, we tried last year, but you know, it was COVID. So what we ended up attempting to do, and then they shut us down, well, COVID, is we do a Black History fair, like a science fair.
Mhm.
Science students, people to look up and research, and then they do presentations. And the music department really does that. Now, the year before last, we did have a Black History program, and it was kind of awesome. They did Africa, so they did African songs because he was a music teacher. So they just kind of like sung songs around the world. It was pretty cool. And then the band played a couple of songs while they sung, and I thought that was awesome. So
Well,
yeah.
I want to thank you. We are almost at an hour and 30 minutes. I want to thank you for being who you are. I want to thank you for being my sister. Um, your love, your compassion. Yeah, because you real, real.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I thank you for staying out in the trenches up to this point, for maintaining that love for the lives that you have touched, the families, their children, um, because these children truly, they're going to change the world.
Yeah, they
With,
are.
with what the world is presenting to us now, it ain't going to go the way that they think it's going to go.
It's not.
It's not. They're not gonna have their way the way they think they're gonna have their way. You
Yeah,
know,
it's definitely not.
it.
Because children, they're highly intelligent. We just don't tap in.
Yeah, and you know the new millennials, as we like to call them. Um, I am looking forward to the leaders who come from your class. I'm looking forward to them being out in society and changing this world. It's their time.
It is.
Please continue as a matriarch. We love you. Girl, we can't even tell you how much we love you. And you know, you ever need anything, you know how to find me when you really need me, you know. Um, you're so strong, and I love that about you. And you're always smiling. I don't,
That's what everybody says.
I've never seen you when you was not. I mean, everybody can be so, it's so serious and everything. And you be right there just like that. Just like that.
I,
Be smiling.
I do smile a lot. But I want to say the most rewarding experience that I have as a teacher is when teachers come back. I just want to share this funny story.
Come on.
I made my children memorize excuses because I don't take any. And so I went to 7-Eleven the other day and I'm coming out the store and this guy is parked like a couple of cars down from me. And he said, "Hey, ma'am, get over here and recite excuses." "Hey, young lady, I need you to get here right now, start reciting excuses." And I kind of like, is he talking to me? And it was one of my students.
All right, ma'am. Well, on the Debra Show, as we are getting ready to wrap up, we gonna need you to recite the excuses. Come on with it.
Excuses are monuments of nothing that build bridges that lead to nowhere. Those who use these tools of incompetence are masters of nothing. And every student that I've ever taught had to learn that.
Wow. Wow. Did they ever ask you why they had to learn it?
No, they pretty much know. I have real high expectations. So, I lay mine out at the beginning. They understand. We do, I not in middle school, but when I was in elementary, we learned a quote or a poem a week. So they could stand up and recite for about 45 minutes at the end of the school year. I build my own background knowledge to pull from. Yeah.
Hey, that is awesome and that is powerful. And before we go, is there anything else you want to enlighten and educate and inspire others?
Just this message is for the parents, just like get more involved because this year at FD Moon, we're going to push real hard to get the parents and the FD Moon alumni, back in the building and get that pride back on the east side like we need. So children can thrive and show you guys what good work we're doing. We really have some creative teachers in the building who are willing to go that extra mile and put on performances and plays and just kind of showcase our children. So give us some support over there.
You know it. Do we need to be knocking on any doors to make sure that they get on, the parents come on out? What we need to do?
Now we have people that's doing that this year. We actually have people that are going to do that. They kind of did some little shifting in the district. We have, I don't know if you know Dr. Herron, she used to be a professor at Langston, so she's over equity in schools. And so, honey, Dr. Herron is on it. She revamped that little, first of all, I think she made the position. Not made it, but she really has developed the position. And we got a workshop where, like for instance, if somebody calls tips, the parents are not going to get in trouble. It's going to connect to the resources that they need. So they try to make some changes. Of course, for us, we got to do that footwork.
Yeah, we got to do footwork, and we've always had to go above and beyond what everybody else, there's always more that is required of us because of who we are and
Yes, yes.
who we represent and what we represent. I'm looking forward to the school year. I'm looking forward to seeing your events posted and what's going on and making whatever contributions that I can slide in the community to make.
Yeah.
So, but before I go, Iye, you got to say, be different and love it.
All righty. Be different and loving.
All right. Thank you. And to everyone else, y'all know I got to end this out with that pinwheel love. Be different and know it. Get your pinwheels. Get your pinwheels. It's all about movement, motion, and it takes more than a notion. And we are not accepting any excuses, are we, Iye?
No, ma'am.
All right. I thank you for coming. Sister Tamikwa, thank you for showing up and speaking and having something to say. I'm going to see y'all soon. This is the Debra Show. We're
Yes, ma'am. Blessings to you, sis.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Love you,
you.
sister.
Love you too.